Hey there, my name is Maxwell, and today, in this demonstration, I'll show you how to do the Presage quest normally, solo, flawlessly, on my Titan, which is my main character. So I'm starting by using Mid-Tree Sentinel to take advantage of Void Detonators, which will play into the seasonal mod Warmind's Decree, you'll see in a moment. I have an Officer's Revolver with Osmosis in my kinetic slot, so that I can have every type of damage. And coming down here, there's Warmind's Decree, along with a pretty standard Warmind cell build, and of course, Breach and Clear, the seasonal badass grenade launcher mod, because Anarchy didn't do enough damage already. And throughout this demonstration, I'll chime in and out to give my input and tips, what have you. Seeing this load-in sequence made me remember that I chose a solar chestplate specifically, so that I could take advantage of solar damage resist. We'll see why in a little bit.
Several months ago, a Cabal vessel bearing the name Glycon disappeared near the reef. This ship matches its description and heading. So far, our hails have gone unanswered, and the distress signal continues to loop. You're clear for live-fire engagements. Board it, and find our missing Guardian.
Now here at this part, if you're doing the Legend or Heroic, you can use that small outcrop that just passed on the left to speed up your entry. But since this is normal, and I'm doing this more to show how you can do this without dying, I'm going to take my time and take the jumps slowly. There's no timer, no stress, and we're in.
There's a distortion in the feed, no frequencies. Like ripples meeting in conversation. Executing trace. Stand by. I've sourced a distortion. There's an open patch into the ship's computer. Perhaps courtesy of our lost friend. Those spores are harmonizing with the nearby concentration of darkness. There's no light here.
Now if you're using high lift, or whatever class is jump, that gives you extra height. You can take advantage of it both there, that initial jump, and here. You can use it to reach this bar that I'm standing on now and make this jumping go a little bit faster. It's very useful if you're trying to beat the clock on heroic mode. Now as we enter this area, I see people who just jump over the screen, and that's a fine strategy as well, especially on heroic where you're beating the clock. But since there's no timer, I'm just going to shoot them here, and you'll see I got an upgrade module for my troubles.
You're not the only life sign aboard. I see at least one other. Maybe our missing friend. It may not.
It's easy to get careless at simple jumps like this. Remember, let yourself fall a little, take your time. As we enter these next areas, you don't have to deal with these screeb at all. Just jump over all of them. Doing so will make you go much faster. And upcoming here we have an example of why I chose mid-tree for the void detonators to work with Warmind's Decree. Boom, there's your Warmind cell. That'll be very useful for clearing the rest of it.
found a journal of Callus's scribe, Armsat. Translation as follows. Today, Callus graced the Glykon with his presence and gazed upon the anomaly.
Bonk.
His counselors prepare the exhibition chamber with gold from the Castellum. They are confident the crown is ready. The end will lay eyes upon him and weep at his magnificence.
Now here I'm going to use Anarchy, along with my Void Wall Nade, to make a line in the sand, so to speak, where the screed won't bother me as I try to shoot the fuses. This is a great way to make this encounter a lot easier on yourself. And in the process, make it a couple more mind cells, again with more mind to make it even easier. The explosions from the cells will strip off the vents, allowing you to see the fuses. Now if you find yourself getting closed in on by the walls, you should run to the opposite end of the compactor, not the area with the lever. You should be able to survive there.
This ship's passageways no longer connect as they should.
Now in a moment you'll see why exactly my particular build, Mid-Tree Sentinel Doomfang, is so very useful in this section. We just walk right through them. And it's important that while you do have the super, and you continue to chain, bash, throw, to keep it going, that you prioritize the snipers on this ledge up here, and the chieftains. The trash down below, that's just for regenerating your super with throws.
Not. Forward. Guardian, I've pieced together another of Armsat's records. It reads, Tragedy of Silence. He tore the wilting failures apart himself. Connection is strong, but the darkness does not speak through them. An ocean without wind. Even the Lightbearer could not coax it to awaken.
Now coming up on the hangar, we can easily segment this combat encounter into different spaces, based on what element is required. You can see Anarchy makes short work of the Archchieftain and his ads. I like to take this encounter from up here. And you can see here, Osmosis is doing work for me, using my nade to change the elemental damage, and being able to bust that shield without waiting for nades or melees to come back. Just gonna clean up ads here. Now, as Screeb and other trash start to spawn and build into big crowds, it's easy to herd them into like a big group. And I'm going to use this group to show you the power of the Void Detonators and Mid-Tree Sentinel, and why this build is so important. All that from one melee and 2 Warmind cells for my trouble. I would highly advise, especially if this is your first go through, or you're looking to play it safe and do it flawless, that you take down the abominations one at a time. And then take the time in between each one to go through, kill all of the ads and the chieftains, once again. It really makes your life a lot easier, and it makes managing the extra trash that spawns easier as well. While Anarchy is a great tool for the Arc Chieftain and his adds, it's important to make sure you have enough ammo on hand to kill both the Abomination. They both will take 6 Anarchy shots at least. Finisher. Keep all of the ammo that I can. Let me push on.
Hangar systems are intact. Why didn't they try to run?
Here, use your grenade or whatever you need to do to stay alive and prevent these Screed from closing the very small gap and potentially ruining your flawless run. Here's where I learned an important lesson about the right tool for the job. There we go. You can see here I forgot to go get the buff like a dummy, so I'm headed back to go grab it. This will kill any precious seconds during a heroic or legendary run. So, always be sure to grab the buff. Now this room is pretty small, in the sense that the enemies close the gap and are in a very compact space with you. I like to save my speed. That way I can just freeze move and be done quickly. As you move through the labyrinth down here, a melee is the best tool to break these vents and move through quickly. Remember this if you're going for a heroic or legendary run. All about saving time. Speaking of saving time, another time-saving tip is to go right when you come out of this hallway so that you end up right at the spores as opposed to going left and having to walk all the way around this wall thing, which will waste precious, precious seconds. You can see there, void detonators doing work for us, taking care of all these enemies. You can get away with 4 anarchy shots in total for these 2 guys, 2 apiece. It's really fun to tag both of them and watch the lightning chain between the 2 of them.
Omsad kept notes on experiments as well. It seems that Scorn exposed to the anomaly all suffered contiguous neuron death. It consumed their minds. All but one who spoke with many dead voices. This survivor would become the centerpiece of their studies.
This turret especially, you gotta be careful to burst down immediately. It can end your flawless run very quickly if you're careless. Now as we move into this room, the sort of staging area before the final boss fight, you'll see me stop here, and before I plant the flag, I'm going to switch over to Top Tree so that I can take advantage of Bubble. This is integral to the staying alive strat as we do damage to the boss and go up and down. With all the ammo and abilities ready, let's head on down to the final boss.
Put this decrepit creature to rest.
I like to start out with a volley of anarchy here. It's just a nice hands-off way to get him out of your hair right away. Here's where that solar damage resist plays a great deal. Not only do these chieftains fire solar projectiles at you, but the boss swings his big solar sensor weapon. And there's the room in the middle of this larger room with one of the switches to contend with. That is full of fire and solar damage. But I have a strategy for dealing with that as well that you'll see in a moment. Oh, and of course these fire turret things that the chieftains like to throw at you. There's another one. Now unfortunately, my overshield just ran out, and my melee is only halfway up. I'm going to actually wait outside of the middle room for my melee to come up, so that I can go in, punch that one enemy, and get the overshield. That way I'm totally protected from the solar damage inside that room. nothing is going to prevent me from getting this flawless, and I'm taking the precautions here to ensure that. And you can see down there the melee is almost ready anyway. And there it is. So we'll just go in here, whack this guy, and throw the final lever. As we move on down to do damage to the boss, of course we're going to use Anarchy with Breach and Clear. And we're going to also put down a bubble, so that way if the boss decides to teleport and get up in your face or summon a bunch of abs, all the bubble will save you. And of course Weapons of Light is nice as well. See what I mean by solar damage resist? Look at all that fire. Right up on him. And just like that, there's one chunk of his health bar gone. Back up top, rinse, repeat. Sometimes the chieftains will throw those fire turrets behind you. You gotta be very careful. If you're running for cover and ducking behind something and all of a sudden one of those pops up, it could very well end your game right there. For myself, see, another fire turret. See, once again, just wait for the melee to come back up so you can get that overshield and protect yourself as much as possible. Keep that flawless run alive. I'm also probably going to have to wait for my super to come back so that we can do the whole bubble thing again. And melee's almost ready. Just cycling through, making sure everything's loaded. Good to go. And melee's back. There is. There he is. Now you'll notice that I go to a separate area to drop down. You never want to drop down right on top of the boss, because without your bubble, he's just going to wallop you. Now you have time to square up to him, target him, tag him with Anarchy as he's running across this room down here. A great exotic to use with this strategy would be Helm of St. 14. And if you were to employ the same strategy of changing subclasses before you hit the flag on regular mode, that would also be the time to change from Doomfang to Helm of St. 14. Here I chose not to. my melee is ready, so I can just go right in and take care of this lever. Now I'm going to take a few seconds here and let my super regenerate all the way, so that, once again, we can use the bubble to buff our damage and protect ourselves when we go down to do damage. There it is, super's ready. And one more time, bubble up, line the boss up, attack him. And here I'm just going to dump everything I've got. And there we go. Boss is down. I'm just going to clean up these two guys as well. No other reason than they were bothering me, so they had to go.
Too many scorn for an active guardian. In place of each world the darkness stole. At the edge of our heliopods. Callus meant to commune with the darkness.
All right. And here we reach our goal.
Faint traces of light.
Yet another roll of the dead man's tail.
That thing was a guardian. Way too late.
That's all I have today. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this useful or helpful, please hit me with a like. Or, if you have any input, leave a comment below. Thank you very much, and take care.